Hello guys, Mountain of Roses. Welcome back to our subject, the Physical Education and Health 2, with the content of individual dual sports and also team sports. So in this lesson, you will know what are the different sports injuries, what are the cause, and what are the common sports injuries, and on how to prevent those types of injuries. But before that, let us know first what is injury itself. So according from what I gathered here about the definition on what is an injury, injury is a damaged tissue or organs which occur when it encounters trauma or physical force that is greater than what it can resist or absorb. So that means that if a person or a player performed an intense activities, there are possibility that his tissues and organs in his body will get damaged and it will lead to an injury, especially the sprain and strain. A person that will perform exercises that will use an intense or an overexertion force will lead to an injuries. So another question is that why risk is more high than being so active? It is because when we perform an activities, especially playing sports, there are high risks that a person or a player will encounter an injuries, especially when he is not doing the proper etiquette on how to play a sport or on how to do the activities. Well, it is better than to be a sedentary, is because sedentary is a person that no activities for at least a week or a month. Okay? So why risk is high? It is because a person or a player that performs an activities or a sports will encounter different types of scenario. For example, in playing sports, you will encounter such a physical contact head-to-head or any kinds of unnecessary movements that will lead to an injury, especially doing exercises that when you perform like bench press or let's just say push-ups, there are possibility that you will encounter such fracture or dislocation. So it will lead into an overexertion. Okay, so what is a sedentary life? Okay, so being at risk is more beneficial than being so part of the what we call sedentary life. It is because sedentary person or sedentary people will always stay on the couch and watch TVs, playing games or any kinds of activities that there are no physical contact or physical awareness. Okay, so what are the benefits of playing sports or having exercises? Well, it will lead to a good cardiovascular endurance, it will lead to a good muscular strength, and also it will lead to a better and a healthy heart. Okay, so what are the common or the cause of those sports injuries? There's a lot of players in this world that will encounter or always encounter an injuries, especially when they perform sports. Okay, so at least those professional players already aware how to be careful so that they will not encounter those injuries. So now let us go. What are the common cause of injuries? So there are tissues and organs. Those two are the most acknowledgeable in terms of injury. It's because those two are the combination when a person encounter an injuries. So let us have first the tissues. So in our body there are four tissues. First, the nervous tissues, the epithelial tissue, muscle tissue, and the connective tissue. So most of our injuries will experience on the connective tissue, especially the fats and the other soft padding tissue, the bone, the tendon, and for the muscle tissue, the skeletal tissues or the skeletal muscle. All right. Aside from that, let us go for the organs. So in our human body, we have at least 9 organs. So the thyroid, lungs, liver, intestines, brain, heart, stomach, kidneys, and bladder. When a person encounters an injuries that will is specific to the organ, that is in need of a doctor. Okay, it's because human organ is overall the essential part of the body. Okay, so what are those musculoskeletal structures and functions that we need to know when we perform exercises, or when we need to educate ourselves in terms of functions, and what are those possible injuries. So in our ligaments, the function of the ligaments is to stabilize joints, and the possible injuries that we might encounter are, or is, the sprain. Okay. For the tendons, the function of the tendons, it attaches muscle to bones. So the possible injury is the strain. For the muscles, it creates movements. Okay, and the possible injury is the strain. For the bones, it is the anchor for muscles. Possible injury, of course, the fracture. For the joints, fulcrum for movement, the possible injuries are the dislocation. Okay, so in this common cause of sports injuries, it helps us educate what are those inner portion of our muscle that will affect if ever we encountered such injuries. Okay, so what are the common sports injuries? So there are 5. Okay. There are sprain, strain, fracture, dislocation, and the concussion. So, what is a sprain? Sprain is a stretching or tearing of ligaments. So, as you notice in the picture that I showed to you, those are an example of sprain. In short, in Bisaya, kung matakil po ta and sakit siya, of course, that will be an injury, sprain. Okay? So aside from sprain, we have also strain. So strain is when a muscle is stretched too much and tears. For example, you are going to run fast and then you're going to stop. Of course, your muscle and the force or the speed, you cannot control it. So that will be leads into an injury, the strain. Okay? So the images that I showed to you are the examples on what are the strains, or what is the strains. Okay, so aside from sprain and strain, we have also what we call fracture. Fracture is one of the common scenarios when there is an accident or injuries. So fracture is a break of bone or a break, usually in a bone. All right. So as you notice on the images that I shown to you, those an example of fracture. So we are not going to go deep what are the different types of fracture, but then at least you know what is a fracture. Okay, next, dislocation. Dislocation is an injury to a joint, a place where 2 or more bones come together in which the ends of your bones are forced from their normal positions. For example, on the first images that I shown to you, the one finger is not following the other fingers, no? Okay, so that is an example of dislocation. Aside from that, on this images also, the bones on the knee is not aligning on the bones from the legs. Okay, so any kinds of possible scenarios or accidents or injuries that you encounter, as long as there is a bone problems that will leads to another positions, that will called as a dislocation. Okay, so aside from those sprain, strain, fracture, dislocation, and we have also the last or the most critical portion of the injuries, what we call concussion. A concussion is a mild traumatic brain injury, or TBI. It can occur after an impact to your head or after a whiplash type injury that causes your head and brain to shake quickly back and forth. If ever you are going to perform exercises or sports or any games, and then there are situations that you and your opponents are having a head-to-head impact, there is a big possibility that you will encounter an injury called concussion, especially if there's a vehicle accident and your head smashes the window, or the head of the driver smashes wall of the house, like that. So it will lead to concussion, and this concussion injury is a serious type of injury. It's because there's a lot of players who became dead on this injury. So all of us, or every player or students or any kinds of person needs to be careful, especially the head. Okay, so these are the common sports injuries, and the big question now here is how to prevent these types of injuries. So there are four injury prevention. Okay, so first one is the training program, followed by the PPE and technique, followed by the recovery strategies, and follow the rules. So number one is that when you are going to perform an activities, or when you are going to join a competition, or when you are going to perform exercises, or if ever you want to be a part of the team, you need first to attend or to know what is a comprehensive training program. Comprehensive training program goes beyond addressing the fitness parameters such as aerobic capacity and strength. So that before you perform a sports or before you join a competition, you need first to know the drill of that specific sport. Okay? I know that you guys have an idea that each sport has what we call basic drill or basic exercises. So that when you are going to perform or join a competition, your body or your muscle knows how to react. Alright? So each one of us or each player, before you play sports, you need to have a comprehensive training program. Okay? Next is the protective equipment and the correct technique. Okay, so individual derive fun from playing sports and other physical activities, example given the dance, that they sometimes forget to wear the proper protective gears. Alright, let's focus on this thing. I encountered a lot of students that wants to play sports but not wearing the proper attire. Okay, for example, they want to play volleyball and they are wearing a black shoe, a tic-tac black shoe, a slacks, and a uniform or a school uniform. That is not proper attire. Okay, it is because when you are going to perform or to expand your motion or your gestures when you perform an activity, your skin might irritated or your muscle might get harmed. Okay, because you are not wearing the proper dress code. All right, so this injury prevention is one of the essential part before you perform an activities or a sports. Reminders that you need to wear a proper attire when you perform sports or activities. Okay, so the third one is that incorporate recovery strategies. So training and exercises is a controlled form of stress that stimulates the body to become stronger. You know guys, before you perform an exercises, you need to have first what we call warm-up exercises. Okay? If you understand what I am regarding with our activity last week, you know already how to perform the warm-up exercises. And when you're going to perform warm-up, you need also to perform cool-down exercises. Okay? So that your muscle or the nerve of your muscle will recover easily and you will not encounter such pamaol or anything. Alright? The fourth or the last one will be follow rules and decorum during the competition. Okay, listen. Every one of us, when we perform and when we join a competition or sports, we need to follow the proper etiquette on how to perform or play the sports. We don't need to get rude when we join a competition. It's because we need to be a sportsmanship man. All right? So by following the rules, we are safe. Okay? It is because we know that there are possibilities that the risk is high when you are inside the game. It's because especially when you are on the physical game. Okay? So following the rules is one of the important. It's because the tournament directors and sports officials draw up rules and regularly for any competition to maintain fairness and safety for everyone involved. Okay? The number one priority of the tournament managers and directors, and especially the officials or the committees, is the safetyness of all the players. So you as a player, make sure that you will follow the proper etiquette before you perform or join the competition. You need first to condition yourself, perform exercises or perform warm-up exercises before you stand on the ground or on the area where the competition is. All right, so hopefully everyone that you understand what we are discussing this week or on our topic, the sports injuries, so that when next time when you perform or when you're going to perform activities or intense activities, especially jogging or any kinds of sports events, you know what are the cause, what are the common sports injuries, and on how to prevent those injuries. All right, so our next topic will be how are we going to perform first aiding when a person or if a person encounters that kind of injuries. Okay, so hopefully that you understand. Thank you for watching this video and thank you for listening our discussion for this week. See you next week, guys, and have a great weekend and have a nice day. Thank you. And before that, all of you are required to perform the Intramurals 2020-2021. It's because there is a 30% performance grade that I will give to all of you if you perform the sports that is being played during the intramurals. Okay, and if you have any questions, you are free to contact me anytime. Just search my name, Michael Calzada Saneco, ang pinakagwapo sa Rosemont. May line pa, so moro na siya. Sige, thank you guys. This is the end. See you next week and goodbye. Bumbaya, Blackpink in your area. Shoo!